Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. We have an amazing show for everybody today. Extra amazing because it's a bro show. It's great to see you, Ryan.
Indeed we do.
Fist pump. That's right. Indeed we do. Gosh, I got to set up these topics. This is always so difficult. It's Crystal's job. So we're going to talk about
see if you
the
get
GOP primary. All right, we can start off there. It's very similar to yesterday's show. Today is actually the New Hampshire primary. The first 6 votes have already been cast, all for Nikki Haley. But don't worry, it's in a very, very tiny little town. There are more reporters there than actual voters. We'll also talk about the Democratic primary, some weird stuff going on. I'm curious to get your insight. It appears that there's some phantom Biden effort to try and quash votes there. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about Dean Phillips and Marianne Williamson, everybody's closing pitch. We've got some of the ads and everything. We've got actually a guest who's going to be joining us in the show. This is one of those organizers for the write-in ceasefire. So we will see how that goes, how that materializes. We've also got predictions. I forgot about that. Crystal actually sent us her predictions, and Ryan and I will give ours as well on how we think that the night is going to go in the GOP primary. There are some major developments in the Trump legal front in terms of that divorce case involving Fannie Willis and some of the other things that we're learning about that. Trump truly is the luckiest man alive, Ryan. On Israel, some crazy news just happening, breaking overnight. 21 IDF soldiers died in a single incident in combat. It's the deadliest incident so far for the IDF. That comes amidst a new ceasefire proposal from the Israeli government, as well as a new U.S. military assessment on how Israel appears to be losing the war, and that's according to our strategist. Finally, and of course, Bill Ackman returns to the show. I mean, at least in terms of topics, we're going to talk about some campus censorship stuff and a very insane incident at Columbia University. Before we get to the show, though, do not forget we got an election special that's going on right now, 25% off on our yearly membership, breakingpoints.com. Also, in terms of planning, so here's what we're going to have. We are going to have a breaking segment tonight after we get the results of the New Hampshire primary, and tomorrow we will have a special Breaking Points Counterpoints crossover event where I will be joining the Counterpoints team here in the studio, and we will have Crystal joining us remotely before we have our normal Thursday show. So all of your election coverage you guys are helping us out with, breakingpoints.com, again, to become a premium member. But let's go ahead and begin with the GOP primary. So what exactly can we expect from tonight? We thought it would be prudent, as always, to give people a preview of the closing pitch to New Hampshire voters. First, we're going to listen to the frontrunner, Donald Trump. This is his last ad in the state of New Hampshire. Let's take a listen.
Americans were promised a secure retirement. Nikki Haley's plan ends that.
Social Security, Medicare, how would you manage the entitlements?
We say the rules have changed. We changed retirement age to reflect life expectancy. What we do know is 65 is way too low, and we need to increase that.
Haley's plan cuts Social Security benefits for 82% of Americans. Trump will never let that happen.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Very interesting tactic there, Ryan. We're going to get into some polling, but it appears to have worked. It's also just, sometimes we don't marvel enough at the fact that the GOP frontrunner is attacking somebody else for wanting to cut Social Security. That actually is pretty crazy.
In 2016, it was one of the things that had people on the left so intrigued by this Republican primary because we had all seen the polling for many years and done the reporting that the center, the center right, the center left, and the right had been trying to cut Social Security and Medicare for a generation. It broke the Bush presidency when he tried to do it, and despite having all of the power in Washington, they just couldn't do it because the public was so against it. That was obvious. Trump is good at recognizing what the public is for and against.
Yes.
They are not for cuts to Social Security and Medicare. Right. Nikki Haley apparently not so good at that. And she can just use a clip of her saying that she's going to make people's lives worse.
Right. I mean, we've played it here. We showed it to our focus group as well. It didn't play over well with our New Hampshire GOP focus group. If you guys will recall, that was one of the first focus groups we ever did here at Breaking Points. Nikki Haley has a Defending Democracy super PAC running ads on her behalf. So we wanted to give people a taste of what the anti-Trump position looks like in New Hampshire. Here's the ad that they have on the airwaves.
A new poll shows Nikki Haley is now within striking distance of Trump heading into the New Hampshire primary.
One state can prevent Trump from winning the nomination. New Hampshire. One candidate can defeat him. Nikki Haley. Most Granite Staters want to defeat Trump, but he'll win unless voters stand firm behind a single alternative. That's why undeclared voters must go to their polling place on January 23rd to support Haley. New Hampshire, we can't waste this opportunity to defeat Trump. Defending Democracy Together is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Defending Democracy being one of those Bill Kristol groups. The problem for Nikki Haley, Ryan, is that in general, she's surging amongst independents and amongst Democrats. If you want a perfect example of this, CNN actually was going around doing interviews at a recent Nikki Haley interview. Here's what her own voters had to say on whether they would vote for Trump or Biden. Plot twist, a lot of them are saying Biden. Let's take a listen.
Versus Biden, what are you going to do?
That really puts me in a quandary. I frankly am more scared of another Trump term than another Biden term.
I voted for him twice. I don't know that I could, in good conscience, vote for him again. I mean, he does things that we teach our children not to do.
I would probably end up either voting for myself as a protest or for Biden.
Probably end up voting for myself or for Biden. I'm pretty sure that lady's probably going to vote for Biden.
She's younger.
Yeah, no shade at all. That's totally rational position. But you know, you just got to be honest that a lot of those people, is it really even fair to call them Republicans anymore? And I'm not. This is not a personal dispersion. It's just like, look, that's what a realignment looks like. That's how Biden was able to win many GOP counties back in 2020 in that election. It was specifically because of these former Trump voters, largely white, largely college educated, people who previously would have voted for John McCain, Mitt Romney, in some cases lifelong Republicans, but for Trump it was just too much. The flip side of this is that Trump also brings out a hell of a lot of non-college educated white voters who they would never vote for anybody else. In some cases they never voted in 20, 30 years. Right. So it's the flip side of that coin as well.
But also this is not the NFL playoffs. This is not single elimination.
Yeah,
like Haley can beat Trump in New Hampshire, and he's still going to romp everywhere else in the country.
Obviously.
So this line that they have in the ad that says one state can stop Donald Trump, that's actually not how it works.
Yeah, it's just not true at all.
She can romp there tonight. And it won't actually matter.
And I don't even think
she's not going to romp.
That's Well, save the prediction. Okay. Save the prediction. We do have another funny clip just came across the radar. I had to play this just to give you guys an idea of like how Trump voters and others have a deep enmity for Nikki Haley. This was an incident actually on her final day of campaigning yesterday in New Hampshire. A man shouts out, "Will you marry me?" Nikki says, "Well, are you going to vote for me?" And he goes, "No, I'm going to vote for Trump." And she's like, "All right, get out of here." Let's take a listen.
But you know what? We've got a lot on the line here. We really do. And you look at what's happening in this election. Yes. Are you going to vote for me? Get out of here.
Get out of here.
Nuptials are off.
Yeah, nuptials apparently are off. Oh, well, some interesting questions around that, but we won't get into it today. In terms of the polling and all of that, this is one where actually the Washington Post just came out with a new Monmouth poll, which is really worth digging into because it gives us a deep insight, not only into Nikki Haley and her alleged like skyrocketing, but some of the group by group polling. So guys, if we can please put this up there, and Ryan, just chime in for anything that you see. The reason this is useful is it shows the November 2023 number. Now, note this. While Nikki Haley has gone from 18 to 34% since November, Trump has gone from 46 to 52. DeSantis, allegedly 7 to 8. Remember, he just dropped out of the race. Now, Chris Christie was at 11. Now, obviously, he's at 1. It's pretty clear that Chris Christie voters largely have crossed over to Nikki Haley, and that's what helps us consolidate her. The DeSantis number, we just don't know. We don't have any idea. The poll was conducted around the same time that DeSantis was actually dropping out of the race, the very last day that they were doing it. So it's not, exactly clear to us where those people are going to go. But let's say that we split the difference and we go Trump and Haley. Yeah, that would put Nikki Haley at 37, but that still puts Trump at some 55, which is just such an incredibly dominant position. The next one, though, this is the true money, because how different groups of New Hampshire Republicans plan on voting. And they actually have a head-to-head here of Trump and Nikki Haley. So, for example, New Hampshire potential GOP primary voters are all 52%, as we just said. Registered Republicans, this is a very clear number, 64% Trump, 22% Haley. Registered undeclared, 38% Trump, 48% Haley. So she's winning there amongst those undeclared voters. Extremely motivated to vote. That seems like a category I would want. 58% Trump, 30% Haley. No college degree, 60-27. College graduates, here's another big flag. 39% Trump, 43% Haley. Very conservative, Trump 78. Somewhat conservative, Trump 57. Moderate liberal, Trump 29, Nikki Haley 56. Are you noticing a trend here? And then also amongst those who believe that Biden won due to fraud, 82% Trump, 6% Haley. Biden won fairly, 14% Trump, 71% Haley. Abortion should be legal in all cases, 38% Trump, 49% Haley. And then finally, abortion should be illegal in all cases, 72-14. What do you make of all this, Ryan? To me, it's just such an obvious class.
Yeah, I mean, Haley's got the people that we understand as never Trumpers. Right. These are suburban voters who are just appalled by Trump. They're more moderate. They're a little wealthier. They went to college. They have been gravitating towards the Democratic Party. A lot of these, for whatever reason, are the ones who are lagging behind in the realignment. But that's who they are. And yeah, they don't like Trump. And so what Haley has been doing is that she has been consolidating the support of those never Trump type voters, but she has not been peeling any support away from Trump, which is the key.
Yeah, I mean, that's just such a problem for her. And then let's put the final slide, please, guys, up there on the screen. And what we can see here is Trump has a big advantage over Haley in trust to handle immigration and the economy. Those are important because those are the two most important issues for Republican voters. So, for example, on immigration policy, you can see that 62% say Trump, 26% say Nikki Haley. On economic policy, you've got 58 Trump, 29 Nikki Haley. Foreign policy, it's 57 Trump, 32 Nikki Haley. Abortion is actually the only one where there's a little bit of a split, only 40% Trump, but obviously still got the plurality there. Something interesting that was flagged to me, Ryan, was that the economy numbers actually were a big one for Trump, that he was actually consolidated over time. And the reason why is those Social Security ads that he's been running. Those Social Security ads have just been killing Nikki Haley with a lot of older GOP voters, people who, we had that one woman in the ad, she said, I may vote for myself or I'll vote for Biden, but people in that age group, especially 60 plus, and remember, this is the vast majority of the people are going to vote in the primary and frankly in the election too. So you always got to wrap your head around that. And in that, what do we see? Trump domination. That Social Security policy might be the single most popular thing that he actually believes in this primary, and a very hidden part of the media. Media wants to talk about abortion and stop the steal. Obviously, very important issues, big in 2022. But Social Security pretty important too. We don't focus enough on it.
The media hates Social Security. They like the media class, like the owners, top editors in general, are the ones who believe in their heart of hearts that Washington spends too much money and we need to get our deficit under control. We watched that circus all throughout the Obama administration, all these different efforts to cut a grand bargain where you're going to raise taxes and you're going to cut Social Security and Medicare and you're going to make the CBO numbers look better.
Good point.
And people hate that stuff. I think a lot of wealthy people in Washington they're kind of glad that they're going to have Social Security down the line. But they think of it as like gravy, like it's their IRAs, their 401ks, and their kind of generational wealth, which is going to take care of them in their retirement. That's not the case for most Americans. Most Americans believe accurately that they paid into Medicare and Social Security, and they're relying on it in retirement. So the idea that you're going to make them work longer and get fewer benefits is just infuriating.
Yes. I mean, no, you're absolutely right. And that's part of the problem that we see overall. Now, finally, let's just put the RCP numbers up there. What we've got is Real Clear Politics shows Trump at 15 points leading currently in the RCP average. You've got the overall that you can see in almost there's not a single poll, Ryan, that we can see from the last couple of days that doesn't show Trump at least at 50%, with over 50% in many of those. And obviously that still does not even factor in the DeSantis number. So look, if Trump wins by 60, I mean, that's just one of those where not only is it not outside the realm of possibility, I would actually consider it, relatively likely. I'm not quite sure, what exactly she's doing here, and this is her last stand, I guess you could say.
Hey guys, if you like that video, go to breakingpoints.com, become a premium subscriber, and help us build the best independent media organization on the planet.
That's right. We're subscriber funded. We're building something new. We want to replace these failing mainstream media organizations.
So again, to subscribe, it's breakingpoints.com.